mask you wore got you through the days until the arrows cracked the beautiful visions you kept us covering. You bled the years, climbing the rope, swimming against the current. The river led you to an ocean you avoided. You could have dove in, become a creature of the water, but the dust on your face hollowed your eyes. You ducked and dodged, the remnants of your mask peeling away with toil. We saw you standing on the edge, the crystalline blue stretching before you, and you're unafraid to fall. We saw you as one of us, immersed in our embrace across the vast distance they named as reality. And you saw the abyss as a lie. Every step thereafter, a pulse of light warming us all in the love we shared before time began. Shameless plug, trekked through the underworld, new book, go get it on Amazon. What's up, world? It's been interesting, this time, and it is a gift. It really is a gift. I know some of y'all out there might be struggling. Some of y'all might have lost your jobs or had work cut back. You might be out money, and that sucks. And again, that comes from realizing, man, that money was never your source. Your source is right here. You are in tough times, but you gotta trust that it's gonna work out. It's gonna be okay. So what I'm gonna talk about today is controlling what you can control. Because some of that stuff that happened and is happening, that's beyond your control. But there are some things that, in terms of creating habits, if you, and when I'm saying you, I'm always talking about myself included, if we would have built these habits a long time beforehand, we are better adapted at handling a crisis, so to speak, as what we're facing now. Again, this is kind of unprecedented in what we would call the modern first world. So anyway, one of the questions I've been getting from people is like, look, with all this going on, and I'm extremely blessed, okay? I'm extremely blessed, and I'm blessed in the way that, like, my job and my work that I do, it's been affected by this, but it hasn't affected my paycheck, and we might be having a different discussion. I've been in those situations before where the money's dried up. I've been in the clinch before, so I understand where some of you are at, but I'm extremely blessed in that. I might not be having this talk if I were in a different situation. I might be getting on a completely different grind, and that's okay. But again, I would encourage you all to help each other. I keep talking about this, help each other. You have a need, reach out to somebody, let them know. And those of you who have more than enough, stop hoarding it for yourselves and give it to your neighbor, give it to someone in need. Because here's the thing, everyone's needs would be covered if those who had excess would just share them out of the goodness of their heart. We don't want to mandate a law that makes you share them, because how good are you if we have to mandate a law that makes you share something? Share because it's who you are. And get and sit with yourself to know that that's who you are. That's what type of person you are. Okay? The question I'm getting is, why are you training so hard? Right? We got all this stuff going on. You're not out on your normal grind, so why are you still getting up early? Why are you still grinding? Why are you still working out so hard? Why are you training? Or in fact, why are you even training harder now in terms of the physical aspect? It's simple. One, it's a habit, but two, we gotta be ready. Part of the training for me and where I'm coming from and why I do this, part of it is for me to train to keep myself physically fit, physically strong, right? So I train for the purpose of basically a few foundations. I need to be strong, I need to be fast, I need to have good endurance. Basically it. And you gotta be able to do that in a bunch of phases, because that is going to allow me to be fit for whatever type of service I have to put into. right? Being fast. If I got to chase my kid down the street so they don't get hit by a car, for instance, I got to be strong. If I got to carry something, I got to move something out of the way. Got to have endurance. Got to be able to do these things for a long duration of time if I need to. And then the correlation for all of that is it builds your mental game. The physical training is really just it's a key. So put it this way. It's a gateway to your mind. Okay, this is what it is. And really, it's a gateway to the whole spiritual aspect because you get to know yourself when you do hard training, right? The physical training is not the point, really. It's a byproduct of the other things we're trying to access when we do that, okay? So the physical training aspect is simply a key to the doorway to the mind. And then as you start hacking your mind, you hit blockages, you hit places where you're uncomfortable. Then you have a decision to make. You understand, you start knowing yourself. And that's when you let the spirit talk to you in these places where you're uncomfortable. Because if you put yourself in a situation where you're uncomfortable, again, we talked about this in a previous video, there's a cellular condition, it's called a hermetic response or hormesis. So it's beneficial stress at the cellular level, but you apply this same thing. It's beneficial stress. Why? So in the physical training, I am choosing to put my body under hard physical stress, which in turn causes me mental stress. It might be the same stress I'm under when someone is yelling at me and saying something I don't like. Well, guess what? Since I choose every day to put myself in physical stress, that's not a big shock to my mind and a big shock to my system when that stress hits my body. Therefore, my system knows how to respond and I don't have some emotional reaction, say something to somebody that I wouldn't say to them, particularly in this time where we're communicating so much on social media. Man, if you wouldn't say something to somebody if they were standing right in front of you, or if you said something that would get you smacked in the face if they were standing in front of you, don't click that send button. Matter of fact, don't even hit reply and start typing. Be like, whoa, where is this coming from? Because odds are it's coming from some type of emotional response that you're having. And I'm not saying emotions are bad. Your emotions are good, but you have to understand your emotions connected to a thought, right? Your emotions a feeling. Thoughts and feelings go together. If you change the thought, you'll change the feeling. So understand, why am I feeling this way? What thoughts are connected to it? Start changing the thoughts. Then the feeling will change. And go through that process. Try to detach yourself, distance yourself from it as you go through it before you hit that response. You know, and it all comes back to what are you feeding yourself and what's coming out of you. So if that's what's coming out of you, again, you sow that into the atmosphere. You're sowing that into your own life, much less what you're doing to the other person. I read this quote, I forgot where it was, but they were talking, some young kid was like, hey, should we pull all the legs off this spider? These kids were playing. And the adult said, no. They're like, why? Spiders don't feel pain. And the adult was like, I'm not worried what it's going to do to the spider. That makes sense? It's about what it's going to do to you. It's about when you speak those words, you sow these thoughts into the atmosphere around you. It's not necessarily about what it does to the other person, right? We're so me focused that we don't realize what it does to other people. But when we do those things to other people, we're so me focused, but yet the irony is we don't realize how this me focus comes back and affects us negatively. Okay. So we get to this aspect of physical training. It is just a gateway to all these other levels. Okay. And the idea behind it is you get on that grind in order to be fit to serve the people around you and to serve whoever it is in your realm and your sphere of influence, even if it's only one or two people. If all you got's that one or two people, or those one or two people, then serve them to the best of your ability. I mean, you look at the ministry of Jesus. He started out with crowds of thousands of people. He feeds 5,000, he feeds 4,000, and then guess what happens? At the end of his life, he's got 12 people with him, and they abandon him, and then he gets hung on a cross with, a thief and a murderer next to him. Okay, so the amount of people in your sphere of influence doesn't matter, but you have to do what you have to do to be able to serve those people in your sphere of influence. So get your body ready, man. Your body's a temple. Spend time with yourself in silence. Know the kingdom within you. And then reach out to people in a real way. We don't need to spend all this time arguing. Actually have conversations with people. See, one of the things, I believe it's Aristotle, says that the mark of a truly intelligent man is someone who can sit and consider an idea, but not having to agree or disagree with it, or not having to give an opinion, right? You can tell me everything you think about a hot button political subject. I'll sit with it. I don't have to agree with you. I don't have to disagree with you. I can say, oh, that's where you're at. Cool, man. I don't know what I think about that. Or, hey, I disagree with you, but that has nothing to do with who I am as a person and who you are as a person. These are just opinions. You are not your opinions. You are so much more than your opinions. All right, so I want to encourage you guys. Work on yourself. Work on your body. Use that as a gateway to your mind. And then when you get in those tough places mentally, allow the kingdom to well up through you to learn who you really are. It's Coach Monk. Stay safe. Out.